Hey everyone, it's Jennifer from StampTherapist.com, and this is a quick video to show you how to use Stampin' Blends, Stampin' Up's brand new alcohol-based markers. And this card is copied from one of my downline, Diana Sanchez. She made this card on our scrapbook retreat in October. I forgot when it was. And one of my club members was at that retreat, and she requested that we make this at our card club. So here we go. So I thought I would take this opportunity to show everyone how to use Stampin' Blends, just basics, not like a full everything you can do with it video. And then working a couple of tips about this card as well. So in my class, everyone receives a packet of all of the 4 projects in one. So when you're ready to make this card, you will find the supplies only for that card. They're stacked in order of project. So here are the supplies for this card. So we'll pull those out, and don't take anything else out of the bag unless you want to be confused later. And normally I actually don't even do it that way. I would just find the card I need and slip it out, but for the video it's easier on me. Okay, so here are all of the pieces. One thing to note is there is a larger piece for your reindeer, and there will be a sample on the table showing everyone. This is the larger piece. And there's a smaller piece that's skinnier that goes inside the card for Merry Christmas. So don't get those two pieces confused. Again, I'm not going to do a full step-by-step on the card. I'll give you some details, but let's start out with the blends. So on this Whisper White cardstock, we will stamp the reindeer. So this is a stamp that comes in a bundle, and you can die cut this out with a die. It punches a little hole where you fold it over, and you have a little gift tag, and it has a front and back of the animal. So it's really cool, but this card uses it a different way. So we are going to use Early Espresso ink, and we'll stamp one image on one side, and then flip your stamp around. So you definitely want your scratch paper underneath, and stamp the other image of the deer over here. Plenty of space for that 2 1/4 inch circle punch. And then we'll punch it out. You want to make sure your espresso ink is dry when you use your blends, but you also want to make sure your memento ink is dry, so that's fine. So see, I don't want to catch the top of those antlers there, so I'll just bring it down a little bit. Just go as high as I can without catching the other antlers, and punch that out. And then same thing here on this side. Okay, and so as you guys can see, there's that piece. That's trash now. So for coloring with blends, you need scratch paper underneath because they will bleed through. Stampin' Blends are alcohol-based markers, so you want to stamp in a water-based ink instead of an alcohol-based ink. So no Stays On. Stays On is alcohol-based. So our colored inks are water-based, as well as Memento Black would be your best choice for black ink if you need that. So you can just use Stampin' Blends to color with, so I'll show you that first. You don't have to blend them. They just color so smoothly. So we can use this light cherry cobbler. The L for me means light because the writing on here is really tiny, and I have old eyes now. So this will rub off eventually, and I'll have to rewrite it, but that will help me when I'm using my markers. And I really want to put labels on here, but I haven't had time, so that I can really see what color it is and if it's the light or dark, because they do come in sets. So this is the Crumb Cake set, light and dark. You can purchase them together, you can purchase them individually, or you can purchase all of the markers we sell for one price, like $120 something. So lots of options there. You buy the whole set, for example, and then you have one marker that dries out. You can buy and replace just that one marker. They are, I believe, $4.50 for a single, and then basically $9 for 2, and do the math for the whole set. So a great value. There is a fine point and a thick, or a brush tip, I should say, fine point and brush tip. And what else do you need to know? They're square, so they won't roll off your table, which is nice. Now, very important, it's always important, but especially in a classroom setting, lots of people are going to be using these. I took these with me to my demonstrator meeting this month, of course, or last month, so everyone could see them. And then when we were finished with the meeting and packing up, I just threw them in a bag. Like, I literally threw them. Well, the lid came off. I don't know how, because they are very tight. I'm wondering if someone at my meeting maybe looked at it and didn't snap the lid back on tightly. But the lid was off for a couple of days because I didn't clean up right away, and that light smoky slate marker, this tip was dried out, so I had to purchase a new one, which is fine. But the point is, you need to put the lids back on as soon as you're finished. And if you're coloring, say you're using light and dark together and you're using light for a really long time, don't leave your dark sitting there with the lid off. Put the lids back on, and they do snap. You can just pull the lid off. They do make a nice little clicking sound, so you'll know they closed. Okay, so let me show you just regular coloring. For this, it just depends on the size of your image as to whether you use the fine point or the brush tip. And for this image, honestly, I just like the brush tip better for me. So normally that's what I would use. However, for this video, my face has to be farther away from the project than normal. So, so that I can see what I'm doing, I'm using the fine tip. But it just colors so smoothly, unlike markers. Markers are great, and they're great for lots of stuff, but there's no streaks at all with Stampin' Blends. Again, it does bleed through, so you'll need to cover up the back always and protect your surface. So we want the bow on the back to be the same color, light cherry cobbler. And something else about Stampin' Blends, this is just Whisper White, Stampin' Up! Whisper White cardstock. You can literally go over and over and over and over and over an endless amount of times, and it will not destroy the paper. You know how when we watercolor, I do watercolor on Whisper White, however, I do it really quickly in just one layer. This, again, you can just do it as much as you want. It will bleed through to the back even more when you layer more color on, but no destroying of the paper, which is awesome. Okay, this is what the light smoky slate is for. The light, yeah, smoky slate, I said it right, is for the little bell, so it can be silver. So again, we don't need to blend. It's such a tiny image. Where you guys are going to blend in class is with crumb cake. And what we're going to do, you can see from the sample, and this is, you know, I'm not a big fancy watercolor artist, so I just copy how other people color stuff. You can see it's darker here, the tail, the spots, the antlers, and around the ears, and then kind of mimic that on the back. So you can go light to dark or dark to light, but I like to go light to dark, so that's what I'm going to show you guys first. So I'm going to use the brush tip. And, oh, I'm sorry, I did give this reindeer a red nose, so let me do that first so I don't get confused. Okay, I'm going to color the entire image first with the light. And if this were any larger of an image, you would want to work one section at a time, because the ink works better when it's wet. It can be streaky if you let it dry completely and then add more color. Actually, I'm just going to do the head and ears first because I'm getting worried about what I just said. Now, to keep it wet, you can, with that one light color, you can go back over, you know, and just make sure it's really wet. Slip that lid back on, especially in class. We don't want it to dry out. And then wherever you want the darker, you add that. So on the ears, it's just around these areas. And then your next step is to blend it with the light again. So now I'm going to go over the entire ear. It will just kind of smooth it out. No harsh lines on my darker. And it just gives it a really artistic look that you can't achieve with markers. Now, I have my light still, and if you're me, so you guys may be like me, you really have to pay attention to which marker you pick up, because I'm still getting used to using the Stampin' Blends, and I'm constantly picking up the wrong marker, thinking I have light in my hand and it's dark, and I've basically ruined my entire image because I put dark where I didn't want it, and it's too dark now. So let's quickly go in and add our dark where we want that. This really shows the definition between the two, where we're going to make that disappear when we add our dark, when we add our light and blend it some more. Okay, so you can see a lot of definition there. Now let's make that disappear. You'll still see a darker and a lighter version. I'm just going to go over those dots completely, like just not define them, but go over them, the little speckles. Okay, so can you guys see how that just blended out? Like it is still darker here, but it fades into that so nicely. Now, while it's still wet, you can go back and add more dark, add more light, add more dark, add more light. You can do this over and over and over again until it looks how you want. There's the back. So I didn't have to stop there, but again, I'm not like the major artist person, so I'm going to stop there. I will show you dark to light. It's the same thing we just did, but you do your dark first. So I will do dark. Maybe we'll put dark right there. Oh, and here. Then we'll go light. So when you do the light, you do the entire section, not just the one area that you were defining as dark. So the whole ear, not only the light part of the ear, or the dark part basically. And again, it just smooths it out, but also again, if you need to, maybe you felt it didn't really give it as much shadow as you wanted, add some more. But now it's harsh, so we need to smooth it out. So that's how you go dark to light. Either way is fine. You can do both of these techniques I just showed you with the fine tip as well. Again, I just find it easier to work with the brush tip if possible. Okay, this is my dark, D for dark. Don't confuse yourself too much. So I'm doing dark first, and when you get your own blends, you just play with them and see what you prefer. Do you prefer dark to light or light to dark? Maybe for different images you prefer one over the other because of the effect it gives. I missed a spot. I'm always missing areas when I color stuff. I think that's also old age. So let's just go over everything, blend it out. But hopefully, one of the big things I want you to get from this video is putting the lids back on immediately, because it could dry out during the course of a class if we don't have everyone replace the lids as soon as they are finished using that marker. Even if you're gonna now go add dark, you need to put the lid on the light and pop it back off when you're finished. So for me, that was a little harsh right there, so I'm just gonna blend it a little bit longer. And now it looks good. So keep in mind with Stampin' Blends, you can use them just to color. Just only use the dark, only use the light. We have skin tones, by the way. They're so awesome. They're called bronze and ivory. I can't remember the names, but we have skin tones. And then you can use other colors like these browns that we have to change the skin tones, you know, make them a little darker, a little lighter. You can also use this tool. It's called the Color Lifter. You can use it maybe if you wanted a spot highlighted a little more, just a tiny bit pick up color, but I'm telling you guys, a tiny bit. If you do, and that's just alcohol there, if you do this on an image with your Color Lifter, it will make it ugly, just a spot in the middle of it. So barely do that. But what you can also use the Color Lifter for, I kind of went outside the lines here a little bit. You can use it to push that color back inside. So I'm going to work from where I went outside of the lines back into the image. It's not a 100% eraser, so don't expect if you make a huge mistake to fix it 100%, because you won't. But it'll lessen it. And also, if you want to lighten it a little bit more, let the alcohol from the lifter completely dry before you try to push more, because once it's really wet, it's not going to lift anymore. But this is the Color Lifter, and like I said, you can do lots of things with the Color Lifter. So okay, a couple of tips on this card. Everyone is going to, well, first of all, the measurements. are, it's like a normal size card with a piece cut off. So it is, of course, 5.5 by 6 3/4. And then it is scored at 2.5 inches, and we used the Simply Scored scoring tool. So you'll fold that over, and you want to, where the fold goes down, the score mark goes down, actually you want to fold away from that. You fold this way. So where it comes up, you fold into it. That actually gives you a smoother fold. Sounds opposite, but it's true. You will attach the gold piece first, then your Wood Textures designer paper. So that part's easy. And of course you'll stamp Merry Christmas on here first and then attach it inside. Okay, then you'll die cut the 2 scallop circles. You will attach a scallop circle first. That's step 1. Only putting adhesive on the left side of it. Only on this side. Otherwise you will glue your card shut and you'll be finished right away. Then you can go ahead and add your front deer. Then you open it up. And don't attach the back deer yet. Attach the scallop circle, because you'll have to align the circle. So if you have a deer glued to this and then you're turning it to align your scallops, your deer may be crooked. So attach your early espresso circle first, then add the back of your deer, and it will you'll be able to align it, you know, as straight as you want. So that is how we do this project. It's going to be so much fun, super easy, but I really wanted to show you guys how to use Stampin' Blends and just give you some quick tips on that. So I'll see a lot of you at class this weekend, and if not, you know, you can always purchase from my website, jennifers.stampinup.net. Anytime you order $25 or more online with the monthly host code, which is on my blog, stamptherapist.com, you'll get a free class in the mail from me every month, a different class. It consists of at least 4 cards, kind of like this, except I package them individually for you, and they all only use 1 stamp set. And you'll get instructions, PDF tutorial, and the packet to make the cards. Everything will be die cut like this. You'll just stamp and assemble, and it tells you on my blog what stamp set we're using for the month. Also, so you can purchase that if you need it. If you place a $50 order with that host code, you also get a free accessory from me. So a roll of ribbon, you know, some kind of accessory that you will use on your projects, and you'll have tons left over. And then different months I have different specials. You should check out this month, November 2017. I have another special if you place a $75 order. So some months there's an extra special and some months there is not. So I hope you guys enjoy this and give Stampin' Blends a try. They're awesome, and I will talk to you soon. Hope to see you again at stamptherapist.com.